I wouldn't say I actually ever felt really any pressure because I was just so like, it was almost like I kind of saw it like a 9 to 5 job. Like I was almost like, if I'm not in the office, I'm not in the office. Like sorry, I can't do it. So I think part of that came with like, I had to really work on my boundaries and bring that in. So that's something that I think a lot of dog trainers probably need as well.
Yeah, because I was going to say, what you've just said there sounds a really simple thing to do. Like in principle, oh yeah, so I'll just make my work hours and people work within those hours. That is so hard for people to do. Yeah. It's turning business away and it's saying, oh God, like I really want to do this, but I'm having to push somebody away. And so that temptation of going, oh, do you know what? I will do Thursday evening at 7:00 just for you. Yeah. And then, like you say, though, as soon as you accept that, you keep leaking into the other days, and you don't really want to do it, and then you feel that like frustration again, don't you? Yeah. So that.
Sorry, carry on.
No, I was just going to say. So that kind of that really small comment is actually such a big subject on its own, isn't it?
It's such a powerful decision to be made, and it's something that we've actively done as well, and it's certainly changed my life. It needed to happen, but I think it's almost getting down into that deep root cause of it, isn't it? It's like you're turning away business, you are turning away money, and when you are self-employed, sole trader, solopreneur, whatever you want to call yourself, it's, oh my gosh, I'm actually turning away money. Why would you do that? So, I mean, what? From that money point of view, then how did you find? So, kind of like where did you get your business to? Because again, we want to be quite open and talk about the money front, because I don't think it's something anybody talks about enough, and it's almost like this dirty thing. And certainly for women owners of business as well, like we just don't talk about it enough. So, where was your business from a finance point of view when you then decided to go, oh, do you know what? I'm actually going to start choosing to turn work away if it doesn't align with my Design Your Life business now.
Yeah. Well, just going back to your point of, I'll talk about the money, but just going back to when you let people leak in, so you say, okay, I will do that Saturday. One thing that I found, which might help people, is the people that you do the biggest favors for are always the least grateful. Like I would always find, if I ever did it, which it wasn't very often, I would squeeze people in. I'd be like, okay. And you would feel so annoyed because you'd feel like they weren't grateful, and they would be the difficult clients, and you think, I've done such a big thing for you and you don't seem to appreciate it. So I feel like anyone that's listening, if you do break those boundaries, I think you quite quickly learn, if you find yourself feeling annoyed, go back to that notes on your phone and you'll start to learn like, okay, actually, maybe I need to stick with this. So that was one thing that really helped. In terms of finances, so I'd been doing it for quite a long time, and I was at a point where I was earning, relatively well. I was earning enough, to pay the bills, have the mortgage, and buy myself some nice things. So I was kind of at the point where the money was coming in and it was serving what I needed. So and I think at the time I did have a little bit of savings, not tons, but like enough. And I think for me, financially, I was at the point where I was like, the money to me is not, time is more important to me than money at that point in time. So I would think, even if this person paid me £500, I still wouldn't want to do it and miss out on this family thing. So I think for me, it was a shift of, I had money coming in, I had some savings. So I knew that I could buffer in maybe, 6 weeks, 8 weeks of having less clients. So I think my advice for people would be to have a bit of money to go, okay, I might have a quiet 6 to 8 weeks because I'm turning these people away. But what I can do is I can test it and I can see whether turning those people away will mean people come in elsewhere. And I found that they did, that when I turned away the evenings, the weekends, and I was like, okay, I'm going to have to take the hit. I'm going to have to give up some of my, nice things that I'm paying for. I might have to reduce down some of my meals out. Fine. That doesn't matter to me, because what matters to me is having my time and feeling less stressed. So I gave it a go and it actually worked out really nicely. So I think, I suppose my advice is make sure that you've got a buffer. So you're not, I think if you're living on the edge and you're literally like, I need these evening and weekend appointments, that becomes very difficult. But I think if that's the case, then you need to look at your pricing structure anyway. And the last thing I would say is I was so oversubscribed that I knew that I would get people in. So I was turning people away. Like my puppy classes were always full. I couldn't fit people in for one-to-ones. I just thought, well, I'm turning people away anyway. So I might as well turn them away in the evenings and the weekends and then focus on the daytime. So I think it's very much that crossover of where your time is being so used up and where maybe you're making a bit of extra money, but is that money worth it? And to me, it wasn't at the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what was the structure then of your one-to-one? So did you do it as like a package deal? Was it ad hoc pay-as-you-go sessions? Same with the classes? Kind of what was the structure of that in-person business?
So the classes were 6 weeks. So they would sign up to 6 weeks and then they would do those 6 weeks. And then the one-to-ones. So initially it was just a one-off pay. I think at one point it was like £35. Like it was cheap.
Oh God, the dreaded
I know. And then
we've all been there.
I know. We've all done it. And then when you put it up, I think I went up to 45 and I'm being like, but the stupid thing is that £10, it just helps your finances so much. Just even if you lose a client, it helps. So I went up to 45. And then I think, again, 2018, 2019, I'd done a lot of mindset work and I did actually really ramp them up so they were high. And I started to say you can only book packages of 3, or if you book a one-off, it's a high price point. But even then, like I think for me, even then, even when I was charging a lot of money, obviously you reduce your clients because not everyone's going to pay those prices, but you still make the money. But even when I was charging a lot, I still was like, if this is what my life looks like, I still want to change it. So I think that's a really key point when you're doing a service and you think it doesn't really matter what people pay me because I still think I need to change it. That was quite a turning point as well. But yeah, I definitely went through that. The typical, like when I started, one-off, pay really low rate, and then change it towards the end to be a bit more structured, a bit more of a package deal. And then that's when I went online at that point. So I think if I'd carried on, potentially I would have changed it a bit more. When I went online, actually, I used to have a deal. If you worked with me, it was literally you signed up for 3 months and you had to do the 3 months. And that was the package. So it wasn't a one-off. It was, you have to do this amount of time. So I definitely think for people, I mean, I assume that's kind of maybe what you talk to people about is thinking outside the box a little bit rather than doing those one-to-ones, one-off. How can people make it so you make more of a relationship with people as well?
Yes, yeah, no, absolutely. I'm curious, what did you go to on your high price then? So you jumped from your 45. What did you go to?
I think it was like 185 maybe. I can't remember if that was for a one-off or like a one-off training, like not a behaviour session, like a this is your hour. I think it was that at one point. So I did really ramp it up. Again, I had some business coaching around this and I did some, which probably what hopefully you'll be doing for people who are listening. So I did have some coaching around like you really, because obviously at the time, I was kind of, like I said, doing relatively well in terms of the things I was doing. So I felt justified in putting them up and people did pay it as well. So people can always put their prices up. I think, yeah, it's a very interesting one when people come into it. But now, interestingly, my prices are lower. So when I started out online, they were really high. I've now taken them lower because I'm delivering a different service. And that service is very much a self-service for people. So I think price and what you deliver and how there's a really interesting thing for dog trainers with that, definitely. But I've been all points with all prices and tried them all out.
I love it.
Can I just touch on your business help that you had? Was it industry specific?
It was it was like dog business coaching at the time. So which it was helpful. I would say for anyone doing it, that can be really useful. I also feel though that the other comparing it with the other things I learned that weren't industry specific also helped. So I think getting specific to the industry, but then having other things outside the industry was really useful. So the combination of the two for me was really good. Whereas I think now, because I mean, again, this is going back like 2018, like that's a long time ago now. I think now probably the stuff that you're doing probably combines all of that other stuff in. So I definitely think it, sometimes you just need to talk to someone, and you just need to be able to say, like, this is my business, have someone look outside. Really ironically, my husband is very business minded and I'm not that business minded. And he's literally like, well, I did tell you. He's like, I told you.
I told you.
Sometimes
Not
you just need someone outside to say it, and you listen to them. Like, same with dog training, isn't it? Like, you need someone to tell you what to do or what you can do. But again, interestingly, even when I was going through that coaching, it was very much like how to do an in-person business. And by the end of it, I was like, I think I want, but then I went online. So it did really help. And it got me to that point where I was charging those high prices. Even with all of that, I was still like, yeah, I think I need to change to online. And the online stuff I did completely on my own. Again, with like external kind of freebies and things I was listening to, but that was something I did on my own. So, but yeah, anyone listening, I would definitely say if you need someone to guide you, I think getting a bit of coaching help is really useful.